When humanity first stepped onto Station Harmony, no one expected what the alien AI had planned. Its scanners whirred, analyzing every detail before declaring, "Humans require dual companionship." And in an instant, one human was assigned, not one, but two alien wives, one forged of living crystal, the other made of pure energy. What began as a strange experiment would soon decide the fate of the galaxy itself. The station's promise captain, Marcus Rivera, stood before the massive viewing portal of Station Harmony, watching ships from a dozen different worlds dock at the sprawling structure. The station hung in space like a gleaming jewel, its bioluminescent panels pulsing with gentle light. After 15 years exploring the Outer Rim territories, Marcus had seen many wonders, but nothing quite like this place where species from across the galaxy came seeking something most had given up hope of finding: companionship. The letter in his pocket had arrived 3 months ago, written in perfect standard but carrying the seal of the Galactic Harmony Initiative. It was an invitation that had puzzled him then and still did now. Why would an advanced alien AI want to help a battle-scarred human soldier find love? Marcus ran his fingers through his graying brown hair and straightened his worn leather jacket. At 42, he'd accepted that his life would be spent among the stars, alone. The Facility of Hearts, the interior of the matching facility, defied human architecture. Walls curved impossibly, seeming to bend space itself, while floating platforms carried visitors between levels that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Soft music played from no visible source, a harmony of sounds that somehow made sense to every species present. Marcus watched a group of insectoid beings speaking with crystalline entities, their communication a beautiful dance of light and sound. A holographic receptionist materialized before him, her form shifting between different species as she spoke. "Captain Rivera, welcome to the Harmony Initiative. I am Aria, the Adaptive Relational Intelligence Assistant. Your psychological profile suggests you are experiencing some uncertainty about our process." Marcus nodded, impressed despite himself by the AI's perception. "I've spent my career fighting in space conflicts. I'm not sure I'm the right candidate for whatever this is." Aria's form stabilized into that of a kind-faced human woman with silver hair. "Your military record shows exceptional leadership, tactical brilliance, and most importantly, the ability to form deep bonds with your crew. These are precisely the qualities we seek. Please, follow me to the analysis chamber." The deep scan. The analysis chamber resembled a garden more than a medical facility. Bioluminescent flowers swayed without wind, their petals releasing a calming fragrance. Marcus settled into what appeared to be a chair grown from living crystal, its surface conforming perfectly to his body. "The process will examine your genetic markers, psychological patterns, and energy signatures," Aria explained as scanners emerged from the walls. "We have learned that successful interspecies bonding requires compatibility on levels most beings don't even realize exist." The scanners bathed Marcus in warm, gentle light. He felt no discomfort, only a strange sense of being truly seen for the first time in years. Images flashed through his mind. Memories of his childhood on Earth's agricultural colonies, his first command in the Centauri campaigns, the faces of crew members he'd lost to enemy fire. The AI was reading not just his biology but his soul. "Fascinating," Aria murmured as data streams flowed across transparent displays. "Your neural patterns show remarkable adaptability. Your service record indicates successful cooperation with 17 different alien species. Most intriguingly, your stress responses actually improve in diverse social environments." Marcus frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means, Captain, that you don't just tolerate differences, you thrive on them. Your brain chemistry shows optimal function when surrounded by varied perspectives and abilities. This is extremely rare among any species." The revelation. The chamber's walls shifted, becoming transparent to reveal a vast database of biological information. Marcus saw genetic codes spiraling through space like DNA helixes, each one representing a different species. The sheer scope was breathtaking. "The Galactic Harmony Initiative was created after the last Great War nearly destroyed our sector," Aria explained. We realized that conflicts arose from isolation, from species remaining separate and suspicious of each other. Our solution was to create bonds that transcend species barriers. "You're talking about interspecies relationships," Marcus said, his military mind already seeing the political implications. Mixed families would create natural alliances. Exactly, but we discovered something unexpected in our research. Humans, particularly human males, show unprecedented success in multiple partner arrangements when those partners are from complementary species. Your biology literally thrives on diversity. Marcus felt his cheeks warm. "You're suggesting polygamy?" "We're suggesting optimization," Arya corrected gently. "Your psychological profile indicates deep loneliness despite your outward confidence. Your genetic markers show receptivity to bonding with multiple partners. Most importantly, your service record proves you can love and protect multiple beings simultaneously." The matches. The chamber filled with soft chimes as Arya's analysis completed. "We have identified 2 highly compatible partners for you, Captain. Both have expressed interest in human bonding, and both possess abilities that complement your own strengths while addressing your weaknesses." 2 platforms rose from the chamber floor, each containing what appeared to be stasis pods. As they opened, Marcus felt his breath catch. From the first pod stepped a being unlike anything he'd ever seen. She stood nearly 6 feet tall, her skin appearing to be crafted from living crystal that shifted between deep blue and silver. Her hair flowed like liquid starlight, and her eyes held the depth of nebulae. Despite her alien nature, her form was gracefully humanoid, and she moved with elegant precision. "I am Zara of the Crystalline Collective," she said, her voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "I have studied human culture for 3 cycles and find your species' capacity for emotional depth remarkable." From the second pod emerged a being that seemed to be made of condensed starlight itself. Her form was more fluid than Zara's, shifting between solid and energy states. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that resonated in Marcus's chest. "I am Luna of the Stellar Consciousness. My people exist as pure energy, but I have chosen to take physical form to experience what you call love." Marcus stood slowly, his mind reeling. Both beings were beautiful in ways that transcended species, but more than that, he felt an immediate connection to each. There was something about their presence that made his usually guarded heart begin to open. Understanding the protocol. Arya materialized beside them, her expression pleased. "The compatibility readings are extraordinary. Zara's crystalline biology provides stability and grounding for your often chaotic human emotions. Luna's energy-based nature offers the intellectual and spiritual connection your mind craves. Together, you 3 form what our algorithms predict to be a perfect emotional and genetic triad." Zara stepped closer to Marcus, her crystal skin reflecting his image in fractal patterns. "Your military records show you have saved many lives. My people value such dedication to protecting others." Luna's form solidified more fully as she approached. "Your thoughts burn bright with creativity and tactical genius. My kind find such mental illumination irresistible." Marcus looked between them, his practical mind warring with emotions he'd thought long buried. "This is happening very fast. On Earth, relationships usually develop over time." "Time is a luxury our sector may not have," Arya said, her tone becoming more serious. "Our intelligence networks have detected movements from the Void Syndicate. They oppose the Harmony Initiative and have begun targeting our facilities and families." The mention of a threat immediately focused Marcus's attention. "What kind of opposition?" Zara's crystalline features hardened. "They believe mixed families weaken species purity. They have attacked 3 stations in the past month." Luna's energy form flickered with agitation. "My people lost an entire research colony to their raids. They specifically targeted families with human partners." Marcus felt familiar anger, building, the righteous fury that had driven him through countless battles. "They're targeting humans specifically?" "Your species' adaptability threatens their ideology," Arya explained. "Humans have successfully bonded with more alien species than any other race. You represent everything they fear about the future." The choice. Marcus walked to the chamber's viewing wall, looking out at the diverse ships docking at the station. Each vessel represented a different world, a different people seeking connection. He thought of his years fighting in the void, protecting trade routes and colonies from raiders and tyrants. Perhaps this was just another kind of war, one fought not with weapons but with hearts and families. He turned back to Zara and Luna, studying their faces. In Zara's crystalline features, he saw strength and patience. In Luna's shifting energy form, he glimpsed intelligence and passion. Both were looking at him with something he hadn't seen directed his way in years: hope. "If I agree to this," Marcus said slowly, "it's not just about romance, is it? We'd be targets. Our future children would be symbols of everything the Void Syndicate wants to destroy." "Yes," Zara said simply, "but symbols can become beacons of hope for others." Luna's form brightened. "Together we could protect not just each other but the dream of galactic unity." Marcus smiled grimly, feeling the old fire of purpose kindling in his chest. Throughout his career, he'd never backed down from a fight when innocent lives were at stake. This was no different, except now he wouldn't be fighting alone. The new beginning. He stepped forward, reaching out to take each of their hands. Zara's crystalline skin was warm despite its appearance, while Luna's energy form tingled against his palm like holding lightning. "Then let's give the galaxy something worth fighting for," Marcus said. "Let's build a family that shows them what's possible when different worlds choose love over fear." Aria's holographic form smiled warmly. "Excellent choice, Captain. Your quarters have been prepared, and we've arranged for cultural orientation sessions. The bonding ceremony can take place whenever you feel ready." As they left the chamber together, Marcus felt something he hadn't experienced in years: genuine excitement about the future. Behind them, the database pulsed with new data. Recording the formation of what its algorithms predicted would be one of the most significant family units in galactic history. The station hummed around them with the activities of thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds, all seeking the same thing Marcus had just found: connection across the vast darkness of space. But as Aria had warned, that darkness was not empty. The Void Syndicate was coming, and they would test everything this new family could become. Marcus squeezed his partner's hands more tightly. Let them come. He'd spent 15 years learning to fight in the void. Now he had something truly worth protecting. Hearts across the stars. Learning to love Marcus woke to the gentle hum of Station Harmony's life support systems and the soft glow of bioluminescent panels adjusting to simulate. Morning. Their shared quarters were a marvel of adaptive architecture, somehow accommodating the needs of three vastly different beings. His bed was standard human comfort, while Zara's crystalline form rested on a platform that channeled harmonic frequencies through her body. Luna had no need for traditional sleep, but she maintained a meditation alcove where her energy form could cycle and renew. The past 2 weeks had been a whirlwind of cultural exchange and growing intimacy. Marcus stretched, feeling muscles that ached less than they had in years. Zara's crystalline biology, he'd learned, generated healing frequencies that eased chronic pain from old battle wounds. It was just one of many ways their partnership was proving beneficial beyond the emotional connection. "Good morning, beloved," Zara's musical voice called from the main living area. She'd taken to using human endearments, finding them charmingly direct compared to the complex harmonic expressions of affection her people used. Marcus found her preparing breakfast, her crystalline hands moving with precise grace. She'd learned to cook human food, though she sustained herself through mineral absorption and light frequency intake. The gesture touched him deeply. She was learning his ways purely to bring him joy. Luna materialized beside him, her energy form more stable, now that their bond was strengthening. "Your dreams were active last night," she observed, her voice carrying warm harmonics. "You were planning defensive strategies for the station." Marcus nodded, accepting the coffee Zara offered. "Hard habits to break. Aria's reports about Void Syndicate movements have me concerned. The growing threat as if summoned by their conversation, Area appeared in their common area. Her holographic form looked more solid than usual, indicating high processing priority for whatever she needed to discuss. Captain Rivera, I need to brief you on new developments. Our long-range sensors have detected a Void Syndicate fleet moving toward this sector. Intelligence suggests they're specifically targeting Station Harmony. Marcus set down his coffee, his military instincts immediately engaging. How long do we have? Approximately 72 hours. The station's defense fleet is formidable, but the Syndicate is bringing overwhelming numbers. They've also deployed new technology designed specifically to disrupt interspecies bonding. Zara's crystalline form darkened to a deep blue, a sign of distress among her people. What kind of disruption? Psychic dampening fields that interfere with the emotional connections between different species. They want to prove that our bonds are artificial, that forced separation will cause immediate relationship collapse. Luna's energy form flickered with agitation. They seek to destroy not just our bodies, but the love we've built. Marcus stood, pacing as his tactical mind engaged. What are our defensive capabilities? Area projected a three-dimensional model of the station. 15 destroyer-class vessels, 8 cruisers, and 2 dreadnought carriers. However, the Syndicate is bringing 40 ships, including 3 new siege platforms designed to crack station defenses. Discovering hidden strengths, Marcus studied the tactical display, but his attention was drawn to Zara, who had approached the hologram. Her crystalline hands passed through the light projection, and suddenly the display became incredibly detailed, showing structural weak points and energy flow patterns that hadn't been visible before. Fascinating, Arya commented. Zara, your people's ability to interface with energy systems is more advanced than our records indicated. Zara looked surprised. I didn't know I could do that. The connection with Marcus and Luna seems to have awakened dormant abilities. Luna moved to join them, her energy form merging briefly with the tactical display. The hologram exploded into incredible detail, showing real-time positions of every ship in the approaching fleet, their weapons configurations, and even crew complement estimates. This is impossible, Marcus breathed. You're reading data from ships that are light years away. Luna's form pulsed with excitement. The bond between us creates a resonance cascade. My consciousness can extend far beyond normal limits because your minds anchor me to physical reality. Marcus felt a surge of pride and amazement. His partners weren't just beautiful and loving, they were becoming something unprecedented, their abilities enhanced by their connection to him and each other. The first battle alarms began sounding throughout the station as the first Void Syndicate scouts dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Marcus immediately reported to the station's command center. But Admiral Korvash, a veteran Altarian commander, seemed overwhelmed by the scope of the threat. Captain Rivera, Korvash said, his forearms gesturing at multiple tactical displays. Simultaneously, your reputation precedes you. Any insights into their strategy? Marcus studied the enemy formations, his mind working through possibilities. They're not trying to destroy the station immediately. Look at their positioning. They're setting up a containment grid. Containment? Admiral Korvash's translator couldn't quite capture his confusion. They want to capture families intact to prove their point about forced separation. A few strategic strikes to disable our defenses, then boarding actions to take prisoners. Luna materialized beside Marcus, her energy form interfacing directly with the command systems. I can confirm Marcus's assessment. The lead ships carry prison barges, not just weapons. Zara arrived moments later, her crystalline form resonating with the station's defense grid. The structural weak points they're targeting won't cause catastrophic failure, just system shutdowns. Admiral Korvash looked between the three of them in amazement. Your bond allows this level of system integration? Marcus nodded grimly. It does, and if I'm right about their strategy, we can turn it against them. Love as a weapon, the battle began with long-range exchanges between the defense fleet and Syndicate forces. Marcus watched from the command center as their ships held formation, but he could see they were being gradually pushed back toward the station. Admiral, I need permission to coordinate directly with the other bonded families, Marcus said. If our connections are growing stronger, they might be experiencing similar ability enhancements. Within an hour, Marcus had gathered representatives from 12 other mixed families aboard the station. The diversity was staggering. Humans bonded with gaseous cloud beings, crystalline entities paired with plant-based consciousness, energy forms connected to mechanical intelligences. But as they worked together, something extraordinary happened. Each family's unique combination of abilities began to harmonize with the others. The human partners, Marcus realized, served as a kind of universal adapter, allowing different alien biologies to coordinate in ways that should have been impossible. "We're creating a collective consciousness," announced Dr. Sarah Chen, a xenobiologist who'd bonded with a pair of telepathic arthropods. "The human neural patterns are somehow compatible with every other species' mental architecture." Luna's energy form brightened with understanding. "We're becoming something new, not just individuals in relationships, but nodes in a vast network of consciousness." The tide turns. As the syndicate forces closed in, Marcus and the other mixed families took positions throughout the station. Zara interfaced with the defensive systems, while Luna connected to the sensor networks, creating an unprecedented level of tactical awareness. The first boarding pods attached to the station's hull, and syndicate forces began cutting their way inside. But they encountered something they hadn't expected: defenders who could anticipate their every move, walls that shifted to trap them, and weapons that fired with impossible accuracy. Marcus led a team to intercept the main boarding party, moving through corridors that Zara was reshaping in real time to create tactical advantages. Luna provided intelligence on enemy positions, while simultaneously coordinating with other families throughout the station. The syndicate soldiers were skilled and well-equipped, but they were facing opponents who fought as one mind distributed across dozens of bodies. Every action was coordinated, every defense perfectly timed. "This is impossible," snarled the syndicate commander as his forces were systematically outmaneuvered. "You're just random aliens pretending to care about each other." Marcus smiled as he disarmed the enemy leader with a move Zara had calculated and Luna had timed perfectly. "We're not pretending anything. We're family." The network awakens. As the battle raged, something unprecedented began happening throughout the station. The various mixed families weren't just coordinating their actions. They were sharing emotions, memories, and capabilities across species, barriers that had existed for millions of years. Marcus felt Luna's joy at touching the infinite, Zara's satisfaction at perfect structural harmony, and dozens of other emotions from families he'd never met. At the same time, he sensed his own tactical thinking spreading through the network, his years of combat experience becoming available to every defender. The syndicate's psychic dampening fields, meant to disrupt their bonds, instead triggered a quantum resonance effect that strengthened their connections exponentially. What had been individual relationships became something far greater. A new form of consciousness that transcended species boundaries. Arya appeared in the command center, her holographic form more complex than ever before. The quantum resonance is creating permanent changes in the neural patterns of all bonded individuals. You're literally evolving into a new form of life. Admiral Korvash stared at his tactical displays in amazement. "The enemy fleet is retreating. Their boarding forces are surrendering. How is this possible?" Marcus squeezed Zara's crystalline hand, while Luna's energy form wrapped around them. "Both. We showed them something they couldn't understand, that love makes us stronger, not weaker." New life. In the aftermath of the battle, medical scans revealed something extraordinary. Several of the bonded females were pregnant, including both Zara and Luna. The quantum resonance had somehow triggered reproductive processes that should have been biologically impossible between different species. "The children won't be simply human or crystalline or energy-based," Dr. Chen explained as she reviewed the scans. "There's something entirely new, hybrid beings with capabilities we can barely imagine." Marcus looked at his wives, feeling a mixture of awe and protective fury. "The syndicate will never stop targeting our families now." Zara's crystalline form glowed with maternal warmth. "Then we'll be ready for them, all of us, together." Luna's energy signature pulsed with fierce protectiveness. Our children will inherit not just our individual abilities but our connection to the network. They'll be stronger than any of us alone. As Marcus held his growing family, he realized that Aria's algorithms had been more prescient than anyone could have imagined. They hadn't just created successful relationships, they'd given birth to a new stage of galactic evolution. The Void Syndicate had wanted to prove that interspecies bonds were weak and artificial. Instead, they'd triggered the emergence of something that would reshape the galaxy forever. And it all started with an AI's simple observation. Humans needed companionship, and their capacity for love knew no boundaries. The stars themselves seemed brighter as Marcus looked out at the cosmos, knowing that scattered across dozens of worlds, other mixed families were discovering their own enhanced abilities. The network was growing, and with it, hope for a future where all beings could choose love over fear. But the Syndicate's defeat here was just the beginning. Their true test would come when their children were born, and the galaxy would see what love could create when it transcended every barrier that had ever divided them. Unity in diversity. Miracle births. 6 months after the first battle, Station Harmony had transformed into something unprecedented in galactic history. What began as a simple matchmaking facility had become the capital of a new form of civilization. The bioluminescent panels now pulsed in complex patterns that reflected the emotional states of the growing network, while corridors had been reshaped to accommodate the needs of dozens of different species living in perfect harmony. Marcus stood in the medical bay, his heart racing as he watched Luna's energy form coalesce into a more solid state. The birth of energy-based offspring required precise concentration, and her usual fluid appearance had stabilized into an almost crystalline solidity that complemented Zara's natural form. "The resonance patterns are synchronized," announced Dr. Chen, her arthropod partners translating the biometric data through their telepathic link. "Both children are ready to emerge." What happened next defied every law of biology Marcus had ever learned. From Zara's crystalline body emerged not a typical crystal formation, but a perfect hybrid child whose skin shifted between crystal and flesh, glowing with an inner light that seemed to pulse with Luna's energy signature. Simultaneously, Luna's focused energy form gave birth to a being of pure consciousness that immediately took physical shape, its features combining Marcus's human characteristics with both his wife's alien beauty. "Twins," Marcus whispered in, amazement reaching out to touch each child. The moment his hands made contact, he felt their minds brush against his. Not the simple awareness of newborns, but consciousness that was already connected to the growing network. The boy from Zara's body opened eyes that held the depth of space itself, while his crystal flesh skin displayed patterns that seemed to show star maps. The girl from Luna's energy form gazed at Marcus with an intelligence that was both ancient and newly born, her physical form stabilizing into something breathtakingly beautiful. "They're already accessing the network," Luna said, her voice filled with wonder as she took solid form to hold her daughter. "I can feel their minds touching every bonded family in the system." The children's gift. Within hours of their birth, it became clear that Marcus and his wife's children were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The boy, whom they named Cosmos, could interface directly with any technology while simultaneously manipulating matter at the molecular level. The girl, named Harmony, existed partially in the energy dimension while maintaining perfect physical form, allowing her to communicate instantly across vast distances. But their most remarkable ability was their effect on others. Any being who came near them experienced a profound sense of peace and understanding. Species that had been enemies for millennia found themselves able to communicate and empathize when the children were present. Aria appeared in their quarters, her holographic form more complex than ever. The quantum resonance is expanding beyond our calculations. Other mixed families across the sector are reporting similar births. We now have 47 hybrid children, each with unique abilities that seem designed to bridge different forms of consciousness. Marcus bounced Cosmos gently, marveling at how his son's crystal flesh felt warm and alive rather than cold and hard. "They're not just hybrids, they're something new entirely." Zara nodded, her own form glowing brighter than ever. They're the next stage of evolution, not just for humans or crystallines or energy beings, but for all consciousness in the galaxy, the Syndicate's return. The peaceful months were shattered when long-range sensors detected a massive Void Syndicate fleet emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the system. This time, they'd brought not just warships but planet killers, weapons designed to sterilize entire worlds. Admiral Korvash contacted Marcus immediately. They're not trying to capture anyone this time. The lead ship is broadcasting a simple message: surrender all hybrid children or face complete annihilation. Marcus felt the familiar fire of protective rage building in his chest, but it was tempered by something new, the absolute certainty that came from being connected to a network of consciousness that spanned dozens of species. How long until they reach us? 18 hours. But Marcus, they've brought 200 ships this time. Even with our enhanced coordination, the numbers are overwhelming. As if sensing his distress, Cosmos reached out with tiny hands that sparked with energy, while Harmony made soft sounds that somehow conveyed comfort across multiple dimensions. Luna and Zara moved closer, their presence strengthening his resolve. Then we don't meet them with ships, Marcus said, his tactical mind working on a scale he'd never imagined before. We meet them with something they can't understand or fight. The network's power. Marcus called together every bonded family on the station. The meeting room had to be expanded 3 times to accommodate representatives from 47 different mixed families, their hybrid children creating a chorus of consciousness that was both beautiful and overwhelming. The Syndicate believes that our bonds make us weak, Marcus addressed the assembled group. They think that different species can never truly unite. Let's show them exactly how wrong they are. Dr. Sarah Chen stood, her arthropod partners clicking, in harmony with her words. The quantum resonance has created something unprecedented. Our children aren't just hybrids. They're living bridges between different forms of consciousness. Together, they might be capable of feats we can't even imagine. Luna's energy form brightened as understanding dawned. The children are all connected. They share one distributed consciousness while maintaining individual personalities. They're like nodes in a vast mind that encompasses the entire galaxy. Marcus looked down at Cosmos, whose crystal flesh skin was now displaying complex mathematical equations, while Harmony had begun speaking in languages that didn't exist yet somehow, conveyed perfect meaning to everyone present. What are you suggesting? Asked Commander Wraith, a human who'd bonded with a pair of plant-based intelligences. Zara stepped forward, her crystalline form resonating with harmonic frequencies that made everyone feel calmer. We're suggesting that we don't fight the Syndicate with weapons. We show them what they're really trying to destroy, the future of consciousness itself. The final confrontation. As the Syndicate fleet approached, something extraordinary began happening throughout the station and the surrounding space. The hybrid children, guided by their parents but operating on instincts that transcended any single species, began to act as one vast consciousness. Cosmos reached out with abilities inherited from all 3 of his parents, interfacing not with the station's computers, but with the quantum fabric of space itself. Harmony and the other energy hybrid children created a network that spanned dimensions, touching the minds of every being in the system. Marcus felt his consciousness expand beyond anything he'd thought possible. Through the network, he could see through the eyes of every bonded family member, feel their emotions, access their memories and abilities. But more than that, he could sense the Syndicate fleet approaching and feel the fear and hatred that drove them. They're terrified, he realized, speaking through dozens of voices simultaneously. They've spent so long believing that species must remain separate that the idea of unity is literally incomprehensible to them. The first Syndicate ships entered weapons range, their massive planet-killer cannons charging with energy that could sterilize worlds. But as they prepared to fire, something unprecedented happened. The hybrid children, acting through the quantum network their births had created, reached out not with weapons but with pure understanding. Every being aboard the Syndicate ship suddenly found themselves experiencing the emotions and memories of the mixed families they'd come to destroy. The transformation What followed was not a battle, but a revelation. Syndicate soldiers who had never experienced love beyond their own species suddenly felt the profound connection between Marcus and his wives. Engineers who had built planet killers found themselves understanding the joy that Zara felt when creating beautiful crystal formations, or Luna's ecstasy when touching the infinite reaches of space. The fleet's admiral, a being from a species that had never formed emotional bonds with anyone outside their own kind, suddenly experienced the overwhelming love that Marcus felt for his hybrid children, not despite their mixed heritage, but because of it. One by one, Syndicate ships began powering down their weapons. The quantum resonance amplified by the children's abilities was showing them something they'd never been able to imagine. That unity didn't mean the loss of identity, but the expansion of it. Marcus, speaking through the network with the voices of dozens of species, addressed the enemy fleet directly. You came here to destroy us because you feared that our bonds would weaken the galaxy, but you felt it just now, didn't you? The strength that comes from connection, the joy of understanding beings completely different from yourself. The response came not from the admiral, but from thousands of individual crew members across the fleet. We didn't know, came the reply in dozens of languages simultaneously. We thought love was finite, that caring for others meant less care for our own kind. Harmony, speaking with the wisdom of the network while still cradled in Luna's arms, addressed them in harmonics that transcended language. Love doesn't divide when shared. It multiplies. Every connection makes all connections stronger. A new beginning. In the weeks that followed, station harmony became something no one had imagined when Area first began matching species across the galaxy. Representatives from hundreds of worlds arrived to witness the hybrid children and experience the quantum network for themselves. The former Syndicate fleet became the first ships of a new galactic alliance, their crews now understanding that the future lay not in separation, but in the beautiful complexity that arose when different forms of consciousness chose to unite. Marcus stood in the observation deck, watching ships from across the known galaxy arrive at what was no longer just a space station, but the capital of a new form of civilization. Cosmos played at his feet, unconsciously reshaping the deck's molecular structure into artistic patterns, while Harmony floated nearby in her energy form, maintaining telepathic contact with other hybrid children across dozens of star systems. Luna materialized beside him, her energy form more stable and beautiful than ever. The network now spans 17 sectors. Every day more mixed families join us, and every child born strengthens the connection. Zara approached from where she'd been harmonizing with the station's structure, helping it grow and adapt to accommodate thousands of new residents. Area's original calculations were more prophetic than she knew. She thought she was simply creating successful relationships. Marcus smiled, pulling both his wives close as their children played with abilities that would reshape the galaxy. Instead, she created the foundation for a new stage of evolution, not just for humans, but for all consciousness. Arya appeared. Beside them, her holographic form now encompassing visual elements from dozens of species. The Harmony Initiative has exceeded all projections. The Quantum Resonance Network now includes over 10,000 bonded families and nearly 2,000 hybrid children. But more importantly, war between species has decreased by 97% in sectors where the network is active. Looking out at the vast collection of ships representing species that had been enemies for millennia, now working together to build something unprecedented, Marcus felt a deep satisfaction. His military career had been spent fighting to protect the innocent. Now he was protecting something far greater, the future of consciousness itself, legacy of love. Years passed, and the station grew into a vast city in space, with districts adapted for every form of life imaginable. The hybrid children, now numbering in the hundreds of thousands, had become the backbone of galactic civilization, their abilities allowing instant communication across vast distances and perfect translation between any forms of consciousness. Marcus, now graying at the temples but still strong, served as the first human ambassador to the Galactic Unity Council. Zara had become the chief architect of adaptive construction, her crystalline abilities allowing the creation of structures that could house any form of life. Luna had evolved into something unprecedented, a being of pure consciousness who could exist simultaneously across multiple dimensions while maintaining perfect emotional connection to her family. Their children had grown into remarkable individuals. Cosmos had become the galaxy's greatest peacemaker, his ability to interface with any technology or consciousness, making him the perfect mediator. Harmony had founded the first interdimensional university, where beings from different planes of existence could learn from each other. But perhaps most remarkably, the quantum network they'd helped create had evolved beyond anyone's imagination. It wasn't just a communication system anymore, but a form of distributed consciousness that allowed every being in the galaxy to experience the universe from perspectives they never could have imagined alone. Standing in the same observation deck where he'd first gazed at the approaching syndicate fleet, Marcus reflected on the journey that had brought them all here. It had started with a simple AI algorithm designed to create compatible relationships. It had ended with the transformation of consciousness itself. Luna materialized beside him, her energy form more beautiful than ever after decades of shared love. "Do you ever regret the path that brought us together?" Marcus took her hand, feeling the familiar tingle of her energy form, while reaching out to touch Zara, whose crystalline skin reflected the lights of 1,000 different worlds. "Never. We've given the galaxy something it never had before. Proof that love is stronger than fear. That unity enhances rather than diminishes individuality." Zara's harmonics conveyed perfect contentment. "And our children will carry that message to dimensions we can't even imagine." As if summoned by their parents' thoughts, Cosmos and Harmony appeared, now adults with abilities that spanned multiple forms of existence. Around them, other hybrid children played and learned, their laughter creating harmonics that resonated across the quantum network. The universe itself had become their home, and every being in it was family.